Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
That's what I'm talking about. All of our guests today, including Ross Tucker, standing by, sponsored by Passant Motors. There are huge holiday savings at Passant Motors. No GST, no gas, no payments. Check out the great offers at Passant Motors, BASANT Motors.com. As we're joined by Ross Tucker from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Sports, and Westwood One. Ross, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
My pleasure. Doing awesome. Happy week away from Christmas, fellas. Happy holidays.
Absolutely. Right back at you. What does Christmas look like in the Tucker household?
You know what's interesting? I'm actually going to be able to get a lot of quality family time this weekend, which doesn't typically happen. Friday night, I'll be with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law on my wife's side, and we'll get with their two boys, and we'll drive around to a bunch of different Christmas lights in the area, you know, some houses that go above and beyond. Then Saturday, I'll drive down to D.C. and be with my sister and her three kids. And then even Sunday for Christmas Eve, I'll be with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. This never happens. I never get this much family time. Now, the flip side is Christmas morning, we'll wake up with my daughters. We'll see if Santa came or not. And then I'll drive down to Philadelphia because my game this week, I'm on the radio call, Westwood One, for the Giants at the Eagles on Christmas Day, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Philadelphia. So it works out great. I get 3 days in a row with family time, actually 4 in the morning, and then I go and I get to call a game on Christmas Day, not too far away. I will say this. The gifts that my girls are asking for are a lot different now. I mean, like, in 2 years, we went from, like, Barbie and that kind of stuff to, like, watches and phones and stuff. I don't know, like, what happened, but, like, that happened quick.
Yeah, trust me, I have a daughter. The lists, not only are the gifts different, there are more requests as the years go by. Hey, Ross, Bills Cowboys, 31-10. Bills over the Cowboys. They beat the Chiefs the week before. What are the Bills showing you these days?
Really impressive. And even before that, if you remember, you know, they really probably should have beat the Eagles, right? Yeah, that overtime game that Philadelphia won. Buffalo played so well, especially offensively. There were drops. There was a miscommunication. They had a number of issues that they let that game slip through their fingers. Otherwise, I think we'd be talking a lot differently about this Bills team right now. I said it on social media yesterday afternoon while that game was going on at Ross Tucker NFL. I think that you can make a strong and compelling argument right now that they're the best team in the AFC. Now, that said, you know, I think the Ravens came out and played pretty well last night against the Jaguars, so the Ravens can stake that claim, and I don't blame them. But, you know, let's put it this way, right? If you're a different AFC team, right? If you're the Dolphins or the Browns or the Jags or the Chiefs, I think the first two teams you probably don't want to play right now might be Baltimore and Buffalo. I think they're playing that well at this point. And so, but now Buffalo just need to make sure they get into the tournament, right? I mean, they've kind of found a run game. It's complemented their defense. They got a lot of really positive things going on, but they're still, I believe, the 9th seed, even after that win. I mean, they've beaten the Chiefs and the Cowboys back to back, and they're still the 9th seed in the AFC, although they do play the Chargers and Patriots the next couple games. So you would think that they would win those two games, but, you know, you never know with the way the Bills have played this year.
Okay, Eagles at Seahawks. What can you tell us about Matt Patricia being elevated, now in charge of defensive play calling? What's going on with an Eagles team that's hit a bit of a roadblock but having a pretty good season?
So, yeah, I mean, they still have 10 wins, which is impressive. It's interesting. By the way, quick side note. When I got signed by the Patriots in 2005, Matt Patricia was actually the assistant offensive line coach.
Wow.
So it was during the season, and it was a Saturday game. So I spent all week with Matt Patricia going over all the Patriots offense. He was a young coach, so that I could be ready to go in the game on Saturday. And then I think it was the next year where they moved him to the defensive side of the ball. But he was offensive line coach the year I was there, interestingly enough. Very bright guy.
Right.
I think everybody that's ever been around him realizes that. And evidently the Eagles did not think that they were getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. To be as bad as they've been on third down, really bad in the red zone, I think that they were startled a little bit by how those last two games went, and they realized they need to be better if they expect to get back to the Super Bowl and beat teams like the Niners and the Cowboys. I don't know that anybody was expecting a change or thought a change was coming. I think everybody was kind of caught off guard when that news came out yesterday.
Boy, they're not happy in Pittsburgh. Ross, another loss, 3 straight, last in their division. If they don't make the playoffs, could longtime coach Mike Tomlin be in trouble there?
Well, and what's interesting, right before you and we started talking, they named Mason Rudolph the starting quarterback for Saturday. Probably smart with Christmas coming around the corner to get Rudolph there on a Saturday before, if he played Sunday or Monday, he'd be busy.
Yeah.
So Mason Rudolph's going to start at quarterback, but, I think I'm not really sure that matters right now. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll play better than Trubisky did, potentially, but the Steelers are in a bad way. And, I live in central Pennsylvania now, and, man, it's bad. There's always been times and years where buddies of mine who are Steelers fans would say, they should fire Tomlin. I'm sick of Tomlin. But then by the end of the year, they'd always come to their senses and say, no, he's a good coach. We just need to get better at this position or that position. This is the first time where it's like universal and consensus, I feel like, with the text messages I'm getting and buddies I talk to in person, that they just feel like it'd probably be best for both sides. Usually their teams finish strong. To lose the way they did at home to the Cardinals and the Patriots, kind of unforgivable. And then the Colts game, they're up 13-0. They give up 30 unanswered points. Yeah. It just feels like it might have run its course there in Pittsburgh for Tomlin and the Steelers. Although these last 3 games, look, they win these last 3, he's not going anywhere. I can tell you that much right now.
What an embarrassing loss by the Jets in Miami. That's 13 straight years, no playoffs. What a tough time to be a football fan in New York, Ross. I mean, are they ever going to turn it around? What's going on there, and why bad so long?
Well, honestly, Rick, the truth is when a franchise is this bad for this long, you have to look at the top.
Yeah.
You have to look at who's doing the hiring. Because you cycle through so many GMs, and you cycle through so many head coaches. At some point, it's like, well, who's the one hiring these head coaches and these GMs? They're certainly going to point to next year and Aaron Rodgers and next year. That's their hope, I'm sure. We'll see. We'll see how well he plays coming off of a torn Achilles. We'll see if they can get a more competent offensive line in front of him. And I think they'll point to next year. But as we see, there's a lot of competition in the AFC these days.
Ross, have you ever seen a smaller crowd than the one in Carolina? The Panthers over the Falcons, 9-7. But there were people who were working in the building saying there were 5,200 people there. So a rumored 5,200. Have you ever seen a smaller crowd than that in the NFL?
Yes, I have. A bunch. The COVID year when they didn't let anybody in.
That doesn't count.
I will say this. It's so funny, guys. That year I ended up calling a lot of games because, especially on radio, because Westwood One did it more regionally, so guys didn't have to be on planes flying cross country. So I did a bunch of Jets and Giants games and Ravens and Eagles, and it was bizarre to be in an NFL stadium for an NFL game, and I could hear the players on the field in the booth at times. It was wild. I don't know if it was quite like that for the Panthers and the Falcons. And honestly, Donnie, that weather looked miserable.
Yeah.
They should give those 5,200 people season tickets for life. I mean, it was like sideways rainy and windy. They've been an awful team, the worst in the NFL. Those people should get something, free something.
Yeah. better to stay at home and watch all the games on television. One more, if you don't mind, Ross, before we talk my front page story. But Lions crushed Denver 42-17. Sean Payton, chewing out Russell Wilson on the sidelines. Shouldn't that sort of thing, and we see it every once in a while in NFL games or all sports, shouldn't that sort of thing be saved for the locker room? And what's the relationship like between those two?
Well, so I don't know that. And that's an interesting question. And that, I think, is a fair question in light of that conversation, although Sean Payton was quick to point out to the writer or reporter that asked him that it's none of their business.
Yes.
So I guess we won't find out. Maybe they'll ask Russell and hear what he has to say about it. I think my guess is, Donnie, that he wanted him to take more time in between plays so that they could find out whether he should challenge it. That's my guess. But I'm not sure. I'm okay with coaches yelling at players as long as, that's the dynamic and they have a good relationship. I would prefer it's handled a different way, And I've seen too often where I feel like coaches really do that for the cameras, right? To try to make it clear to the people watching that it was the player that screwed up a situation like that and not them.
Okay, you're visiting the in-laws over Christmas. Any of them getting a gift from my front page story by any chance, Ross?
I don't know if they are, but I got to get one from my mother-in-law soon. That's for sure. Because it's the best gift of all time. To be able to say to somebody, I had a story written about you, that half of giving someone a gift is like having something to say or tell around the gift. That's just incredible. And then it's so cool. We've gotten a bunch of orders, guys. So while I was flying on planes to Cincinnati and back, I wrote 3 of them. It's amazing. Wow. Because you can either talk to a writer on the phone or you can fill out an email. So some of the email ones I pitched in, I wrote, I love it. Like, I love reading these, usually men, talking about their spouses, or the one guy got it for his dad. And you can just, in their responses, hear how much they love them. And to be able to have a story and a gift like this, a business where we convey that, it's really super cool. It really is. Like, it's a pipe dream, but I want everyone to get one of these before it's too late, because I think it's that special. MyFrontPageStory.com. Get one for your parents or grandparents or obviously your significant other. MyFrontPageStory.com.
We should get one for you, Ross. We can't thank you enough for what you do for our show. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Christmas.
All the best.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I love being on with you guys, and you have great viewers and listeners. It's awesome. I love the emails I get from them. I love the social media interaction. You guys have a great following, and Donnie, you get all the credit for that.
Hey, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, okay. All right, Ross. Thanks for this, and Merry Christmas again. Thank you.